Hello, all sentient beings, and welcome to the Transmissions Podcast, where we talk all Hasbro, Takara, and third-party Transformers! On this episode, Newage Toys gives us a tiny third-party Dinobot Grimlock. Jeremy rejoices at the arrival of a new Black Convoy figure in the Hasbro Legacy Line, and Velocitron also gets a legacy shoutout with a new Cybertron Override figure. Today is Wednesday, May 25th, 2022, and this is episode 487 of Transmissions.
Welcome to Transmissions, the podcast that can't wait for the Bumblebee cameo in the eventual Gargoyles movie. I'm your host, Jeremy, aka Yakko, joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Creator, producer, and star of Empire of Rust, editor Mike.
Oh man, I could really go for a Gargoyles movie.
And Daryl, the Cybertronian beast.
Only if they use that incredible opening theme song that the Gargoyles TV show had. Yeah, I'd be in for that too. Let's talk Transformers.
All right, yeah. Gargoyles is something maybe we should do an extra on, because that was such a great show.
Mm-hmm. I would totally be down for that. I love that show so much.
Yeah.
Daryl, get on that.
All right.
All right. Well, as always, we start off the show by thanking the people that are really the reason we're able to keep doing this, our wonderful Donatrians who support us on Patreon and PayPal. We couldn't do it without you guys. And I just got an email about our domain needing to be renewed, and just happy that I don't have to worry about trying to justify the cost for another year. It just, the podcast can afford it thanks to all your support. So thanks for that.
Yeah, that's strange. I got an email too saying that 4 pre-orders of mine came due, and I felt really good too that the podcast can afford that, right?
And the podcast didn't afford that because we're not buying that for you, Daryl.
What?
Did my Patreon money go to Daryl's Habit? Is that what's going on here?
No, it goes for stuff we need for the podcast, and it goes for stuff like our drawing. We're going to be doing in alt mode this week for a humble bundle that will be given away to a lucky person that entered. And thanks for everyone that did enter, and to our Donatrians who get an auto entry into any giveaways we do. So as another bonus, they can get early access to Empire of Rust, our wonderful Transformers live play RPG podcast. But Mike, why don't you tell everyone about the episode that just came out this last Monday?
Sure thing. So this last Monday here, episode 76 came out, the Spark Awakens Part 1. We actually did a fairly long recording session when we did the Part 1 and Part 2 on this one. So we figured, you know what? It's long enough. Why don't we split it up into 2? And we did. So this wraps up the chapter at the Vault of Stars with all of the information and everything that the players are getting. And then we move on to the next chapter in this story. So definitely take a listen and let us know what you think. It was a fun ride.
So does this have to do with trade negotiations?
Not especially. Were you looking for that?
Well, I mean, anytime I think of something Awakens. Oh, no, sorry. I was thinking Phantom Menace, getting it stuck in my head. Never mind. I'm focused on prequel era stuff because Obi-Wan comes out this week.
Oh, yes.
Anyway.
I can appreciate that. I should have made an Obi-Wan joke, but I didn't. Lost opportunity.
You'll have time. Anyway, let's get into some toy news and actually talk about Transformers.
All right, and first up this week, I wanted to take us over to the third-party realm, as I tend to like to do, and talk about some little guys that are coming out, and start off the show this week by talking about Newage Toys. And Newage is coming to the market, starting off with a repaint. Now, shouldn't be surprised by that. These companies do repaints like they're going out of style. And this one here is a repaint of their Jazz figure, which they call Menasor. And it is a gold repaint. So inspired by the G1 episode, The Golden Lagoon, this one is a completely gold repaint, and it looks great. This is a really cool figure. I think this is the same one that I have. I think the Jazz figure that I have is the New Age one. It's hard to remember between all the companies that that exist right now, but I'm pretty sure the one that I have is the New Age Jazz. This is a very good figure. It looks the part. Its transformation is really cool and intricate, and the alt mode is just a really awesome looking Porsche 911. So I really like this. And if you're a fan of these gold repaints, just if you really liked that episode, the Golden Lagoon, pick this up. It's a really cool looking figure. And they really did a good job on it. Take a look at that. But the real one that I wanted to talk about this week is the new one that they've kind of brought to the market, and it looks like New Age is coming to the table with some Dinobots, and they're starting it off with Grimlock. And of course, this is going to be in their Legends scale, which this is where they kind of shine. And we've got Grimlock starting it off here. So they show him in all of his glory, his robot mode, his T-Rex mode, which is not. It's the Transformers T-Rex. It's definitely not the way that science reflects a T-Rex anymore, but it's the way Transformers represents Tyrannosaurus Rex. So you can take a look at this and you can kind of be nostalgic for the way that T-Rex used to be portrayed in media back in the 80s.
Back when Pluto was a planet.
Right. You can see him here. He's even in his dino mode, he's very articulated. Those old little tiny scrawny arms are very, very articulated. In his robot mode, he can kind of sort of do the Superman landing pose. It's very cool. He's got like a blast effect that he can put on his coming out of his mouth, and he can also have that being used as a sword. It's pretty cool. So I really like the way that this thing looks, and I've been kind of looking for a way to get into a third-party series of Dinobots, and this might be it. I really don't want to go for Masterpiece scale because it's way too expensive. But if I could do a Legend scale one, then I really might be interested in going that route. So let's open it up here. Jeremy, I know that you do also have a fairly good selection of Legend scale stuff. What do you think of these two offerings from New Age here? We've got the Golden Lagoon Jazz, and we've got the Legend scale Grimlock, which they are calling Ymir. I don't know. YMIR.
Ymir.
Ymir? Cool.
But, I think it was named after a Norse god or something.
Okay, cool. But yeah, Jeremy, what do you think?
I think these both look really good. I mean, the Jazz, like you said, it's just a repaint, but it looks fantastic. I think the gold looks really good on it. It's always hit or miss with golden figures. But if it turns out like these images, I think that looks really good. I do wonder about like these are just renders, right?
No, these are real pictures.
Oh, they are? Okay, because you always worry about like the roof of the car, which is really it's all clear plastic that's been painted for the parts that need to be painted, and the colors never really match. Yeah, the rest of the body, and this looks like they've matched it pretty well. So yeah, that looks good. I think the Grimlock really is the highlight though, because he can emote so well in this in robot mode and in the dino mode. I really love the blast effect you mentioned. The having it be a flaming sword just is great. Don't try to reproduce any other swords that were done. Just give him a flame that can stick onto a handle, and it looks great. But then just the poses he can make in dino mode. They made the arms long enough where he can like scratch his chin, and he can make all sorts of different poses. This looks like a really fun Grimlock that will look great on the shelf, and you can just set up a scene like this one where he's like walking on top of Sharkticons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looks like just a great little figure.
Mm-hmm. And Mike, I'm not too sure if you've really dabbled in the legend scale realm, but what are your thoughts on these legend scale offerings from New Age?
That Grimlock really does look amazing, and yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat with you here, Daryl. I don't really have a ton of like Legends size stuff. I have a Windblade, and that's it. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I have two. I have a Windblade, and I have a Scorponok, the Iron Factory Scorponok, whatever its name was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this guy is certainly tempting me, and I'm going to echo what everyone said on this one. The articulation on those arms, the like ability for this figure to really emote is really impressive. I don't get the fish. Yeah, am I missing something? He's got a little blue fish accessory that comes with.
It was probably from that one episode that none of us remember, but Charles would know.
The one episode.
Right.
The one episode that had the fish.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on that as well. But yeah, I mean, I'll let you know. Like, I do have a considerable little collection of legend scale stuff. I'm sitting at around a dozen of them right now. So,
Nice.
I didn't want to give you the impression that I didn't have any. So I do have a fairly substantial collection of legend scale things here.
That's okay. Your nerd cred is intact. You're good. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, this is a really impressive looking figure, and the only thing I can say is it's a little nitpicky, but the yellow section that forms his chest in robot mode looks a tiny bit like a diaper in his Grimlock mode, like in the dinosaur mode.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it just depends on what angle you're looking at it, but yeah, it's a little... I would have preferred maybe a duller yellow or like a more of a goldish color, not like a chromed or anything. If they could have did, that'd been great. But yeah, maybe just something a little bit less intense, considering the rest of the figure is gray and your eye just goes to that section.
I wonder if there would be like some Toy Hack stickers or something that could help break up that solid yellow with some detail.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, but I mean, the answer to your question is the topic or the item we talked about just prior to this. This figure will be recolored numerous times. I guarantee this is a cartoon colored version. There will be a toy colored version. There will be a metallic colored version. There will be a G2 colored version. Multiple G2 colored versions, actually, because there was the light blue, there was the dark blue, right? There may even be the, quote unquote Power Rangers version, because they put them in red. Why not? There will be a bunch of different versions of this guy. And why not? Just for the hell of it. But, this, so if this version of Grimlock, you think, oh man, he looks great, but I really don't like the way he's painted. Just wait.
Just wait.
They'll paint him another way. Guaranteed. Just look at the Jazz. That has got to be at least the 8th different paint job that Jazz has got.
Speaking of which, it's not a bad looking paint job for it. I'm not really the biggest fan of the Golden Lagoon stuff, but for those fans who like it, then you got an option for it. So that's cool. Certainly a pass for me. But I'm glad it's there. But yeah, I get your point there, Daryl. I do imagine that there'll be plenty of repaints of this figure. I also imagine that the engineering that went into him was probably a little bit more complicated than others, because I'm looking at like all the stuff that needs to fit into that tail for his legs in. That's a lot of stuff. So I imagine they'll want to recoup their costs with as many repaints as possible.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure.
Ymir, actually, I had to look it up. Ymir is the father of the Jotuns, or the frost giants in Norse mythology.
Oh, cool. All right.
And that is Mythological Corner with Mike.
And in our Discord, both DJ Ronan and Quattro reminded us that it is Grimlock's new brain is where the fish came from.
Okay.
So
good job.
it's still Charles's fault for not being here because that's his job to remember these things.
Yeah. When Charles is not here, we stupid.
When Charles is here, we aren't that much better either.
No, it's true.
Ronan and Quattro, do you guys want to host the show?
I think they do.
All right. Well, that's my thoughts for it. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So thanks, guys. Jeremy, what do you got?
You put this in my list before I could get to it to grab it and put it in my list because we both knew that this was what I was going to be talking about this week.
It's fairly obvious. We all know you.
Yeah, and we all knew this was coming. The inevitable Black Convoy repaint of the laser Optimus Prime. So this is also RID Scourge, which is what this actually is representing because you have the upside down G2 Autobot logos instead of a Decepticon logo, which is my favorite part about this. And I really wish that the US release of the original toy did that. But this is the black and pink and teal version of Optimus Prime. And I think this looks absolutely amazing. I will be picking this up as soon as I can. He has the upside down Autobot logos as a faction symbol. So hopefully Hasbro brings him over like that. But then he comes with everything that the G2 Laser Prime comes with, the sword, the matrix, everything is just a hot pink color here, which makes it even better. I love the paint job they did here, like in the truck mode, whereas like the Laser Prime had, let me see this side by side so I can, the Laser Prime has the flames on the cab. This is more muted with just some teal kind of lines, just a more simple design, but I really like that, sets it apart. The trailer is a bit darker gray. It doesn't really look metallic, like shiny, like the original was. I'm hoping in person that it is more shiny, like they can paint it to look more shiny. But even without it, I think this is just such a good, an obvious repaint, but such a good job on this. So Mike, do you have the affection towards the RID Scourge / Black Convoy that I do? And what are your thoughts on this?
I actually do. Back when I got back into collecting, I started with Beast Wars, but didn't really get like the full line or anything. The RID line was the first toy line that I really intentionally collected. And the Scourge figure from that line is still like one of like my favorite pieces from that entire set. So I do really enjoy that figure. Like all of like the big leaders from that series, I really enjoy the Prime, the Magnus, and the Scourge. So that being said, this does not really echo the Scourge that I know. Are you certain that? Is this supposed to be? Because I know it says RID Scourge in parentheses, like on the Transformers Legacy Leader Class Black Convoy like listing, but is it supposed to be a representative of Scourge, or is it supposed to be just a Black Convoy?
Well, I mean, you would think a Black Convoy would have Decepticon symbols, but this one, in the Japanese version of the cartoon, all the Decepticons had upside down Autobot logos because they were originally Autobot protoform.
Sure.
And in the US version, they made those Decepticon logos. So that's what I'm thinking it is.
Interesting. Yeah, like this figure is actually a pass for me. I think I'm going to wait until someone does a closer to like a Scourge paint job with it. This just seems a little bit, I don't know. It just is not, like, I don't feel it as much as I would if they did a straight Scourge repaint. And when I first looked at this, I actually had to look up what the paint job was on the original Scourge figure just to see what it looked like. And because I couldn't place that, I couldn't figure out what was bothering me about it. And aside from like the hot pink like highlights for it, like, okay, that's a thing, sure. But yeah, I like the idea behind this. I want to get a Scourge from this mold, but this, like the Black Convoy, this paint job specifically, really isn't doing it for me.
Okay, well, more for me.
Yep, more for you. You can get 2 or 3 extra.
Yeah, Daryl, this thing brings back something that we haven't seen in a lot of modern toys, and that is light piping in the head. So, did you notice that?
Yeah, I did. Now, the fact that I haven't noticed it in a lot in modern toys is something that I really haven't been paying attention. But I haven't been buying a lot of modern toys recently. But but you're right. It probably has a lot to.
The Laser Prime, I'm just looked at mine, and he does not.
No. Oh, that's interesting. It probably has a lot to do with the amount of translucent pink on him. It's an interesting choice that they went with translucent pink. Probably for the windshield, but the amount that's on him it's a lot. The weapon, probably has a lot to do with it as well. The shoulders stand out to me. And that's probably the part that, kind of sticks out. The only part that really sticks out. I really do like the deco. It's nice, but I don't know. It seems like there's too much hot pink going on.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Right there with you.
I don't even know if you got rid of the weapon, if it would help it. The shoulders, the weapon is a big eye draw. So if you got rid of the weapon, then maybe it would change it. But the shoulders, there's a lot of pink in those shoulders, and it's this translucent plastic that I'm really not a huge fan of, just because of the reputation it has for really being crap over time. So yeah, I like it. I really like the look of it, but I wonder if you changed the pink on the shoulders, that bit on the shoulders, to even just black, just to leave it as black, if it would be better, because this Black Convoy is not, I think the subtlety of the colors is what makes it the teal and the pink. There's not a ton of it on the original figure. And
yeah, I'm looking at my original one right now, and it's basically the eyes and the light piping for that, and then the windows and the sword.
Mm-hmm. That's
about it.
Yeah, and I think that subtlety is really what is a big plus in that original toy. As far as the alt mode goes, I like the alt mode. We know from that last Hasbro call that vacuum metal chrome is just, it's not happening right now. So
right.
You're getting gray paint. It's what's happening. We're, vacuum metal chrome just isn't happening. We got to suck it up and deal with it. So I like the alt mode. I think it looks good. You're really not getting a big dump of pink, too much color in that alt mode. It's really quite subtle, and I like it. I like the way that alt mode looks. But I don't know. I don't know whether I'd pick it up if I saw it. I have an original as well, and I really like the original one. So generally, in that case, I'll just stick with the original, just because, for all intents and purposes, it's better. And why buy something that's new when the old one's still good? But yeah, I see it. I like it. It's nice. And for anyone who doesn't have, an original or wants to get a modern version, I can't see a problem with it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get official pictures soon and clear up some of the questions. But yeah, I can see how the pink would turn a lot of people off. And I'm looking at my Laser Prime right now, and it's probably just that particular type of plastic that they're replacing with the pink. And
yeah,
just, if they did one thing pink, everything with that particular plastic also had to be pink.
Exactly.
All right, well, that is all I got this week. Mike, what do you have?
I have two things I want to talk about from the Legacy Collection. The first is we got some size comparisons of the upcoming Menasor figure with the Shattered Glass Jetfire. So we knew that the Motormaster himself is going to be Commander class, but the height of the combined form really is spot on with the Jetfire. It's almost like head for head. It's almost the exact same height. And they show some comparisons on the height of that, how tall the main Motormaster figure is in relation to the combined mode. It comes up to just under his waist, and Motormaster is about the same size as the Earthrise Prime. Also, we get some more close-up images of how the Combiner Wars ports are going to be attaching the other Stunticons to the back of the legs. And these images show, I'm actually not certain what these figures are. I thought it was going to be like an off-road and a Sunstreaker. Am I incorrect on
so
that?
He's showing a Combiner Wars figure in the right leg there, and one of the new Stunticons in the left leg.
Okay.
And you can see on the left leg, there's a little peg that goes to the right that the Combiner Wars don't have. And that's what on the call he was saying, how you can stick the Combiner Wars figures in there for pictures and stuff, but it's not really that stable because it doesn't have that extra piece to hold it in.
Understood. Yeah. But it does show at least that it is possible. So if you really do want to do some interesting like fan modes on it, that is certainly doable. But yeah, so check those pictures out, and it shows a lot of what this figure is going to look like. The other thing that I want to talk about is we got a announcement of Override from the Cybertron line is coming to Legacy, and this figure looks almost like an exact replica of her old Cybertron mold. It's a really good-looking figure, really striking in its white and red color scheme, too. So, pretty interesting stuff here. So, Daryl, I'm going to jump to you first. What are your thoughts on these two figures? Do you actually have an Override? Or did you ever have an Override?
Pretty sure I have an Override somewhere in one of the boxes I've got kicking around here. I like the transformation of that, kind of Cybertronian sports car. So, likely I picked one up a while ago. I've messed with dozens of them at the store, so I've definitely gotten some experience with them. So I like the look of this, and I know that I mentioned this to you, off air, is that it really looked like they just kind of took the original figure and just kind of pumped it through the mold again and, reissued it, because I'm looking at it and it really looks very similar. But, upon closer inspection, you can definitely see that it's new. So yeah, I like it. It looks neat. Hopefully the spring-loaded gimmick is either removed or, isn't as touchy, because once that thing kind of lost, any kind of, locking, it really just fired off with, at the touch of, anything. It was really, really, really terrible. But I like it. It looks good, and Override's a really cool character. It's a nice looking figure. The size comparison for Menasor, I did find that fairly interesting. I kind of think I held out hope that Menasor would be bigger than it's showing here. I do have Siege Jetfire, and I was really kind of hoping he'd be bigger than that. I don't know why, but, Motormaster is a commander, so I guess it makes sense that they're going to be the same size, but in my head, I was hoping that, a fully assembled combiner was going to be bigger, and it's not, so that kind of sucks. This is our first look at, Menasor almost fully assembled, right? There's two legs on his back, and he's got one arm on. So that's pretty cool. I like his look, and he's an interesting, figure, and I'm kind of pot committed on this. I've pre-ordered, all three of the figures that have been, pre-orderable. So I'm in on this, but I was really kind of hoping he would be bigger.
Does the size actually concern you, or does it make you want to cancel the pre-orders, or are you still in for it?
Not really. I mean, my Siege Jetfire isn't out or displayed. I don't know. It's something about the look of them that I can't really quite put my finger on, but I was hoping for it to look different. maybe it's those legs. Remember, I've mentioned it before that the legs, the cars are on the back and you can't see anything. What's the point, right? And it's such a pain in the butt that you've got all these, like, why even buy the cars if they're not going to see them in combine mode? You know, it never made any sense to me. That's why I always liked it, you know, with the G1 figure, that you could put it either way. I don't know. It's just something about them is doesn't sit right with me in my brain. And sure, the size would be better. It would help, but I don't know. You can't really do anything about the size. Yeah.
Does Siege Jetfire... Is Siege Jetfire smaller than the Combiner Wars combiners? Or about the same size?
That's a good question. I don't think I've stacked them up side by side before. They're going to be close. Yeah, they're going to be close. I would assume that they're smaller. The Combiner Wars figures, I assume they're smaller. But yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I know I'm buying it, but I'm not blown away by this. You know, that's the takeaway, I guess.
All right, that's fair. How about you, Jeremy? Do you have any interest in Override?
Probably. I mean, I have one of these. I haven't pre-ordered any of the others yet, but I'm likely to get some of these. It does. I never had a Menasor, so it is kind of one of those I've always wanted to get. And I totally see Daryl's point about the cars on the back of the legs. It's always seemed a little dumb to me, but it is what it is. I do like how in the post here, Mark said that he does have 2 Wild Riders on the back because the legs can be interchangeable, but the arms are unique to each one. So, that's why you see one of the arms here is still blank. But the size doesn't really bother me all that much. I mean, I'm not as picky about that as Daryl is, but I think Commander class is pretty big. So as someone that doesn't even have the Jetfire, you know, I think it's a good size for a combiner in my collection. So I'm perfectly fine with it. And I do love seeing how much bigger it is than like the Earthrise Prime. Because I mean, that's a good display, is just showing any kind of combiner towering over other figures. So it's all in how you choose to display it.
All right. I'm not certain for me if I'm going to pick up the Override or not. It's certainly a good-looking figure. I think if I do, it'll be an impulse buy more than a pre-order. And as far as the Motomaster, I haven't pre-ordered any of the Sonicons, so I'm likely not getting a Motomaster either. So
yeah. Oh, sorry, I completely missed that you were asking about Override because I was looking at Menasor at the time.
No
Override,
worries.
I'm not sure about. I don't really like the vehicle mode here. It just, you can see too much of the robot in the vehicle mode, and that bugs me.
Okay.
I do wonder if maybe they'll do a repaint of this into drift, because I do kind of, in the vehicle mode, I see hints of what could be a drift-like vehicle. And the Japanese-styled head, I don't know. It's been a while since I've looked at drift, but I could see them doing something like that, even though I think it would be a poorly looking, like a poorly designed drift, just if the vehicle mode looks like this. Yeah. But this is a unique mold as of now, so they're going to have to redo it into some figures.
If they don't do it as a drift, what else could they do, you think?
Well, I mean, any number of Cybertronian cars. I mean, we just got an RC, so likely not an RC, but maybe a Blur. I don't know.
What about you, Daryl? What do you think?
Man, I don't know. I'm actually really bad at this. It's seeing other characters in this, in these current molds. Yeah, I'm no good at this. So.
I have a feeling that they would probably do one of the other fembots from G1, maybe something like a Firestar, or what was the green one?
Greenlight?
Was it Greenlight? Well, okay. Yeah.
There was Greenlight was recently got a toy.
Okay. Yeah, I can see them doing that. I don't know. a little unimaginative, but I can see it happening.
Do a Transformer Speed Racer crossover.
That could actually work. The Mach 5, I could see that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those are the two figures that I wanted to talk about. And I think that's it for the toy segment.
Yep. So let's go into trips to the store. And this is the segment of our show where we get to show off all the awesome Transformers stuff we got this week. We do this as a video on YouTube, so you can actually see everything we got, but we also put the audio right here in the podcast. So keep listening as we describe all of our stuff in loving detail. Then pop over to YouTube, and you can actually see what we got in awesome high definition. So without further ado, trips to the store.
The Transmissions Podcast will return after these messages.
I'm going to go first because I have absolutely nothing. I just was having to dig through some of my boxes in a bin because I have not had a chance to get anything. So I decided to pull out my Alternator's Sideswipe, which is not transformed, but he looks amazing. I think I actually prefer the car mode to the transform mode of this one.
So you got the engine?
Does he have the engine? I think so. I haven't looked in a while. Oh, it does not have the engine in here.
Uh-oh.
But it's somewhere. It might still be in the box, or it might be in the bag, but no, he does not have the engine.
How can he go if he doesn't have the engine?
I mean, I know I have it somewhere here. The rubber tires are still in great shape, so that's great. I love I don't know if you can read that there, the license plate there. So this was a fun line, but I always found it frustrating to transform. And in some cases, it was the robot mode just didn't seem to work out as well as I would like. In other cases, it was amazing. So kind of hit or miss, but this was still an awesome line with licensed vehicles. Like this is Dodge Viper, so the Viper was an amazing looking car. I know Daryl would agree with that. So
I do like that car.
And then, just even little details here, like the seats, steering wheel, everything about the car mode of these were amazing. So that is all I got this week. Daryl, let's go to you and see what you got.
Well, I'm going to continue what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks and just showing off a couple figures that I just keep doing in pieces here. These are my Moon Studio train bots again, but now I've transformed them. So this is Moonshine in his train mode, and he's gorgeous. So yeah, I had a fun time this week transforming him into his train, and for comparison, I did have this is the I think it's, what is it, Ice Pick or something like that, the other one. So these guys are essentially the same train and completely different transformations and basically the same size.
I mean, the paneling, I think, can you hold those back up? The paneling, I think, looks very similar, but it's just different enough that it looks like two different trains, even though the skeleton is the same. Yeah,
and I'm sure someone like Quattro, who's a train enthusiast, would be probably screaming at the screen saying, they're not the same train. They're, one's this model and one's that model. And I'm sure you're right. You're probably very right. But they look very similar to me. So yeah. And Ice Pick is very much heavier than Moonshine. So
aren't those in scale with the Lego train tracks?
They are. Yeah. So I got to buy a shit ton of Lego train track now. But, the other one I wanted to show off, and I'll keep Moonshine in my hand as comparison. This is the Iron Arm. So this is the pants one. He came in pants mode, and he is massive. So
whoa.
So yeah, he is absolutely massive, and yeah, man. So he's huge, and I'm very much looking forward to getting these guys, combined into their robot modes. Yeah, absolutely massive, and he's heavy as all get out too. So, what a great train mode. You really can't see a lot of robot stuff from the base. these are the side hip skirts here, and these basically you splay the legs out, and each one of these is a leg. So it's it's very symmetrical, the transformation, and I kind of like that. I really just have to do everything the same twice. But I wanted to show off the gun, because with Iron Arm you get the gun for Radiatron, and it's massive. So it's very cool.
Wow.
So you get this gun, and you can actually put it on Iron Arm here, just to kind of, so he can roll around with it in train mode. And I love that. That's just impressive.
It gives you a sense of the size of the combiner.
Yeah, he's going to be big. Now, all of these guys can combine in train mode as well. They do come with couplers, and they can actually combine at the front if you just use the little couplers. And they just, I don't have anywhere to put a frickin' train this long, so I haven't really done them. But yeah, I'm this next week is going to be my week of transforming these guys into their component parts and putting them all together into their Radiatron mode. So next week, what's going to be on trips to the store from me. Mostly together Radiatron. So there you go.
Do you have all the figures?
No, I have 4. I have 4 of the 6. That's all that's been released. There's the other one. So yeah, I got all these trains.
These guys are massive. Jeez.
It's so big. It's going to be so big. I'm so excited. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, so that's it. That's all I got this week. It's been a pretty slow week around here as far as, Transformers go. I really haven't gone to a store in a very long time. But that's fine. I got trains.
Yeah. Trains are great. All right. Well, Mike, why don't you show us what trains you got?
Trains I got myself a land train.
Oh, nice.
I got the laser Prime from Legacy, the Tanker Prime. I wasn't originally planning on picking him up, but when I was in a Target the other day, I saw him, and he was, I think, only 45, so I was like, you know what? I haven't bought one in a while, so I'll go ahead and grab that. I do really love the look of the figure. I wish the trailer was longer, because it does seem a little bit stubby.
Yeah.
But, I'm not that broken up about it. But yeah, it's a really, really beautiful looking figure. The Laser Prime is, yeah.
He's great.
Yep. So that is my first one. It's a good figure, don't get me wrong. But something that I've had on pre-order for a long time finally came in this last week. Fans Toys Hannibal, the head for the 40-something inch Fort Max that maybe will come out someday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is a beautiful looking figure. Now imagine, you can see how big this figure is. It's as tall as my head. It transforms back to its head mode, and that's half of my head. Imagine the rest of Fort Max and how big that beast is going to be.
So are you going to display it like that, or just have a severed head on one of your shelves?
I'm going to keep it in this mode for now, because if Fort Max ever does come out, this is going to stay in head mode for likely the rest of its life. So you know what? Let me actually take a look at Cerebrus over here while I can. I did transform to the head mode, and it looks good. I mean, it's a head mode. There's no really big surprises there. But yeah, looks good. It comes with a base that the head attaches to it. Also, the base is transformable, so that you can put the Master Sword, which is right here. You can put that sword into it, and it looks like it does in the show. So that's cool. The one nitpick I have about it is that not Spike. I forget what he's called in Headmasters. I think he just called Fortress or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
The head, though. The head is the spring for that. The connecting mechanism is very tight and does have a tendency of popping off a little bit. So when I'm moving the arms around, because it's got a really solid ratchet on that, the head does tend to pop off, which is a little irritating. But, how often am I going to move the arms? I just pop the head off first, and that'd be that. But it's got a whole bunch of like neat stuff to it. The chest part comes down just like with the G1 Cerebros. You can see how the head doesn't quite sit flush with the rest of the body there, so his stats are not maxed out like they should be. But
so that actually changes. It's not a fake.
Oh yeah, it actually is the. It does have like the little like rollers, little slider things that the G1 version
That's
had
nice.
as well. So hopefully this means that the actual Fort Max body will come out at some point, or at least the pre-orders will go up at some point in the future. So I can pop down the money for that. I fully expect that it'll probably be about $1,000 to actually get the body. That's going to be a big pill to swallow, but yeah. So here's hoping.
Awesome.
I have my doubts.
me too. Me too. They're not as strong as at Metroplex we saw a couple weeks back, but I have my doubts too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think that will do it for Trips to the Store this week.
We now return to the Transmissions Podcast.
We're back from Trips to the Store, and we are going to end the show with some feedback. All right. We have been asking for some feedback and voicemails, and we got one from Brent. So let's see what Brent had to say.
Hey, Charles, Daryl, Jeremy, and Mike. This is Brent from Chicago. Recently, Jeremy was asking for more feedback and more voicemail feedback, so I'm going to do both. So I wanted to talk about, what were your craziest or most expensive purchases for Transformer toys, or what is the most amount of money you've ever spent on a Transformer figure? And I have two in mind. The first one I had a couple of years ago. I bought a G1 Fortress Maximus off eBay for $900. With tax, it was over $1,000. So yeah, that definitely hurt the wallet. But the absolute craziest purchase I've ever made in my life was purchasing a G1 Black Shadow, a vintage Black Shadow, one of the 3 Phase 6ers from IDW. And he was also very prominent in the Japanese Victory cartoon. So guess how much I bought him for off eBay? $2,000. And that's before tax and shipping.
Son of
Yes, he and Fortress Maximus were both in incredible, not mint condition, but very good condition, and everything was complete. But man, it's still a lot of money, but I don't regret it. It was a crazy purchase. It was a lot of money, but hey, I love Transformers. So what crazy purchases have you guys made? Have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Wow. So I don't know if any of us would have something that expensive. that was amazing. And my wife would have kicked me out immediately.
Kicked you out. We'd be searching for your body.
Yeah. I don't know. In terms of expensive toys, probably some of the BotCon sets are the most expensive ones I've done. Where I think it's around $300, but you don't get just one. You're getting like a set, like of 5 or so. But I don't know. I steer more kind of conservative in my purchases, and I don't have a lot of big money items. Mike, what about you?
I'm actually thinking back on to like what's the most expensive like figures that I've ever picked up. I've certainly I haven't cleared 900. I know that. I think actually the Cerebros that are the Hannibal I picked up might be one of the most expensive figures I bought. I think it was 230 or so. Yeah, like I don't think I've gone any higher than that. Wait, how much was Victory Saber?
Oh, that was like 120.
Yeah, $180.
180.
All right. Yeah, that's like about the average for like expensive figures that I pick up. Like I've grabbed a bunch of third-party figures that just cleared like 150, 170, 180 range, and that has, at least for me, has been kind of the cap. And usually I try to find them on sale or at some kind of discount, just because that it hurts. I think that if the Fort Max, the Fans Toys Fort Max comes out, then that will certainly be the most expensive figure that I've ever purchased. No question on that. Luckily, I still have my Fort Max from when I was a kid, and it's still in pretty good shape. There's some discoloration on it now because it's like a 30-something-year-old figure, but so I don't need to buy a new Fort Max at least. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any giant purchases. I guess the most money I would have spent would have been on the trip to TFCon Chicago that we did back in 2017, 2016?
Mm-hmm. 2016.
Because, hotel, airfare, and everything, and then all the figures that I picked up while I was there. I did an impulse buy of the iGear Seekers while I was there. I got a good deal, but still, it was like an impulse buy for them. It's like, son of a bitch. That was pricey. Yeah, I think that's my biggest stuff. So a lot of more medium-sized purchases than anything else.
Yeah. All right, Daryl, how about you? I know you've probably got some interesting purchases, and
I
with
do.
The exchange rate, some more expensive purchases.
Right, but thinking about it, and this was a question that was asked on that show that we've all kind of done recently with TFG1 Mike. He asked about most expensive figure, and I think single figure that I've purchased is currently in your possession.
Oh yeah,
is the Unicron that I bought. So that thing is about $650, $675 or whatever the hell it was originally is what I paid for it. So that as a single figure was probably the most expensive. Now that being said, I own a lot of figures that I got really good deals on or came across, and this was my answer. When Mike TFG1 Mike asked me that, I own a G1 Canadian slag that I came across at a store that was selling it as a regular G1 slag. So I bought it.
If you were to sell it, you would be able to make a good deal.
I would make a considerable profit on it, right? So I bought it for like $50, and it's worth $300. Maybe more, right? So, I got that. Working at the store that I work at, I was able to just buy with credit my G1 Monstructor, which is complete, right? It's probably a $300 figure. I was able to buy my G1 Thunderclash, which is complete. And, it's all these figures that if I were to see them at a TFCon or something like that and see G1 Monstructor $300, I'm not plunking down $300 for that, right? Because in my brain, handing over the cash, it just doesn't feel the same as just scratching off some numbers on some paper that I've done hours for, right? It's just credit. Just scratch off that and hand me the stuff. Right? It's like I'm getting it for free, where I'm just spending time doing something that I'm enjoying, right? So, yeah, Brent, you've got some serious stuff over there. I've seen the Storm Shadow, or what was it? Black Shadow. I've seen Black Shadow in person I think it was TFCon USA, that TFCon Chicago that we were probably all at. Maybe it wasn't that one, maybe it was a different one, but I saw one there, and it was in a box, and man, that was expensive, and yeah, I don't even like. That's impressive, man. I'm very impressed with your stuff, Brent. Also, may I push you towards our Patreon? Our very high levels of Patreon. We have this thing, and it's not it's not Black Shadow levels of Patreon, but it's Patreon. No, but I'm very impressed with what you've got over there. Just this week, I was just looking at the the Artfire 2000 page. They sent out a message saying that they just updated their site, and it's filled with mint in sealed box Raiden gift set, like $1,200, all these other extremely awesome Japanese figures that, mint and sealed box, Black Zarak. Like, what the fuck? Where did they find these things? Yeah, I'm in awe of some of these things. There are people out there that are capable of collecting at a completely different level than I am or we are. And they, I bow down to them because, I look around my room and think, you know what, I've amassed quite a collection and it's, I enjoy it. It's very cool. And I've got some really cool pieces, some really neat pieces that I would consider harder to find. And then there's somebody that walks up and says, hold my beer and let me show you what's really hard to find. Right. And Brent, you're probably one of those people. And I salute you, sir. You've got some really awesome stuff. And that's really cool. So yeah, I've got some cool shit. I like my shit. And, and my taco tank, that's, that's $200 Beast Wars figure, Beast Wars figures really don't get much more expensive than that, but, it's a $200 Beast Wars figure. So yeah, that's, that exists too.
That's kind of a crazy purchase too. I mean,
that was nuts. I'm a G1 guy, but I saw this little thing and I was like, what the hell? Why not spend $200 on a Beast Wars figure? I do have a lot of expensive, third party stuff too. But, yeah, I don't know. I tend to just buy the stuff and not really think about it after the fact. So like right now I just on trips to the store, I was talking about these Moon Studio train bots, right? Each one of them is like $120. I don't know I don't know what the US price is on them. It's for two of them, it's costing me $303 Canadian with tax. So that times two, I'm going to be paying almost $1,000 for this Raiden when it's done. And that's expensive for me, right? Like, this one figure is going to cost me almost $1,000, right? At one TF Con, I bought the Masterpiece Star Saber, the add-on kit for his hips because they were shit, and the KFC Simba to make Victory Saber. And that was probably a $600 purchase at one TF Con. So, I'm not adverse to spending a lot of money on things, but in one figure, I tend not to do it. I'll break it up into multiple things. But yeah, I'm in awe of your purchases, Brent. That Black Shadow is awesome.
All right, and we do have an email here from a regular voicemail listener or voicemail sender, but John 4X11 Good said, I'm in training this month, so I won't be sending a voicemail. That being said, I'm excited for the Lego Optimus Prime. I remember in the early 2000s getting the Creo Jetfire and being insanely disappointed that he couldn't transform. You would have to disassemble him and reassemble him in the other form. I like that this Optimus will be fully transformable. Plus, I can see the Lego community coming up with a trailer for him as well. One that opens up and turns into a battle station. I could see a roller too. Anyhow, talk to you later. So yeah, I think the Lego Optimus Prime is going to be great. And I think the trailer is just a given that, everyone has made a Lego box. So at the very least, people are going to make their own trailers, but then I'm sure the Lego community will be making one that can, open up and also do a roller and stuff. So I am really looking forward to this Lego Optimus Prime as well. Mike, I don't know if we've talked to you since this was officially announced. Are you big into Lego?
Not much anymore, but I might put down the money for this because it is a nice just conversation piece. So I'd probably maybe put it out in my living room or dining room or something like that, just as like a standalone piece on a shelf. So it'd be kind of
awesome. Cool. Well, thanks, John, for writing in, and thanks, Brent, for sending us voicemail. If you would like to send us feedback, go to transmissionspodcast.com/feedback, and all the information is there, including a widget that makes it really easy to send us voicemail. And you can be like Brent and get your voice on the show. So that is all we got this week for transmissions. Mike, why don't you tell people where they can find you online?
Well, you can find me here every month or so, talking about Transformers with all of you guys. But you can also check me and all my friends out on Empire of Rust, so please give that a listen. You know what? Give it a shot. Give it an episode or two. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I lose count of how many people say, hey, you know what? I just tried it out. I didn't realize that I needed it in my life, but as soon as they do, they're hooked and they need it. Still trying to get Daryl to give it a shot, but we'll we'll give it some time. It'll come around eventually.
Do you have any good
see.
jumping on episodes?
Let's see. I'd probably start at the start of season 2. That's a good jumping on point. I want to say that is around episode 60. I think 60, 62, something like that. I don't recall off the top of my head the exact number, but yeah, if a big backlog of episodes is too much for you, start the season 2 stuff. Start right around episode 60. I think you'll enjoy it, Daryl.
All right, and I think that will be it for Transmissions this week. So thanks everyone for watching and listening, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye, all.
Later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Transmissions. If you'd like to join the conversation, travel to our Discord channel at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. Want some cool transmission swag? Feast your eyes on our transmissions gear at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. If you'd like to support our podcast, go to transmissionspodcast.com/support or tell your friends about our show. We'll see you next time.